You're listening to The Bird Bath. This episode of The Bird Bath is brought to you by PassPaw. If you handle international health certificates, you know the headache. Different country rules, complicated timelines, and endless client questions. PassPaw's software is built to cut through all of that. Your team gets clear guidance on every requirement, and clients get a step-by-step view so they always know where things stand. Gain confidence with automatic validation at every step with real support from PassPaw's expert team when you need it. Pet travel doesn't have to be stressful. Visit PassPaw.com, that's PassPaw.com, and use code BIRDBATH for a special offer. Welcome back to The Bird Bath. Each week we scrape the surface of the news you need to know, so let's get into it. Our top story this week was a no-brainer. It was big news from last week. Tractor Supply Company has agreed to acquire VIP Petcare from the Banks Group, which is the PE firm that took PetIQ private in 2024. Now, that deal closed back then for $1.5 billion for the entire PetIQ portfolio, but the conversation that was happening around that was what's going to happen to the actual practices, the delivery of medicine that happens. Banks Group is a known consumer's good business, and I think it was very clear that they weren't interested in providing veterinary services. So after about 18 months, we've found the answer to that, and Tractor Supply is going to be bringing those 2,700 pop-up clinics, 1,700 of which are inside Tractor Supply stores, and another 60,000 plus community clinic events per year. Now, VIP Petcare says that they see over 1 million pets across 39 states, and they employ about 2,500 contracted veterinarians. CEO Hal Lawton pointed to the capital efficiency and the idea of leveraging the existing infrastructure and customer relationships as a really great way to grow what Tractor Supply has already built. Now, PetIQ did bring down the number of practices by about 10 or more percent in 2023 and 2024. And then after Banks took it over, they sort of kind of asked questions, right? What's going to happen with this? It sounds like it was something that from backroom conversations, it sounded like they had been looking to offload the VIP Petcare portfolio prior to closing it, but have now found the right partner in Tractor Supply. Now, Tractor Supply has been growing their footprint quite a bit. They bought Ally Vet about 18 months ago as well, and we've seen a lot of things continuing to grow. They have a massive online footprint. They have a ton of stores. They've got their own businesses with PetSense as well. So it is not, Tractor Supply is a major, major player in the space. And another really big player that's kind of tied up into all this, they weren't mentioned in the press releases, but I kind of wanted to dig a bit more into this, is Walmart. Now, Walmart's in-store pet services have been growing. They kicked off their first pilot in Dallas, Georgia, about 2 years ago, and they've since grown to practices in Arizona as well as across Georgia. But the important thing here is that all of those practices, even though they're run by Walmart, are staffed by PetIQ staff. Even when you go to the website to book an appointment, it still takes you to the URL still has PetIQ listed in there. So now we're thinking that staffing portion of the business comes from VIP Petcare, and now the company running Walmart's vet services are a major competitor, which is Tractor Supply. So the question, has to be asked, who's staffing Walmart's vet clinics a year from now? Are they going to go out and find full-time DVMs? Are they going to be coming up with some additional staffing, which was one of the reasons PetIQ says that they close practices. So lots of hair on this, a lot to figure out. It's a complicated portfolio when you think about the VIP Petcare footprint, just because a lot of them don't have that brick and mortar or that physical address because of the pop-up nature of it. It wouldn't be an episode where we talk about practice expansion without talking a little bit more as well about kind of how to think about this in the Chewy conversation. And then we talked about Rural King as well, partnering with PetMed Express, or whatever they want to go by, PetMed Express, 1-800-PET-MEDS, but that business. So lots of things are happening here. I think a lot of it, though, when we're seeing it, is that maybe the pop-up clinics and the community clinics don't make sense when you're trying to drive sales exclusively through the vet channel. But when you can use that exam room as a catalyst to drive more business through the practice without having maybe the overhead that you would from a physical brick and mortar practice, or if you have this really strong e-commerce footprint, which now Tractor Supply as well as Chewy and Rural King are building, it could be a new way that people are envisioning how to deliver veterinary care. Mission Pet Health also did a major divestment, but it's more of a movement of monies and real estate. So Mission Pet Health has sold 102 of their properties. So not the actual practicing part of the practice, but the actual real estate. They've sold it to Four Corners Property Trust for $268 million. It's a sale and leaseback, so they're not going anywhere, but they've got multiple triple net master leases. They've got long-term commitments to be able to stay in these facilities with Four Corners Property Trust. And the really cool thing, it's a huge business, and they will now be, the veterinary practices that they're buying from Mission Pet Health will now be the number 3 largest brand within the FCPT portfolio. It's important to think about this on a capital availability side of things. We saw Silver Lake Capital push a lot of money into Mission Pet Health along with Shore Capital. And now we're seeing the availability of another $268 million. That's a large amount of money to be able to buy new practices that now they have a strong real estate partner with deep, deep pockets that perhaps could be this long-term continuous growth piece here. You can save a lot of your acquisition costs and that capital to buy more businesses if you do sell off that real estate piece. So something I think we're going to keep seeing here, and maybe something we've seen TerraMed, which is the former TerraVet. We've seen lots of other REITs, Amos Partners, lots of other REITs sort of popping up and taking on more of this veterinary landscape. So more to come here, but definitely an interesting one. For 102 practice facilities to be sold is a really, really big deal. A new study from ReadyVet Go is showing that mentorship really does move the confidence needle. ReadyVet Go, which is a new DVM mentorship program, took 63 early career veterinarians who participated in 2 separate cohorts, and they measured a lot of things: how they felt the program went, how they felt confident in how they were working. And across the different measures of the professional confidence, all of the numbers rose. The program saw an average of 60% saying they were confident before participating and up to 86% after participation in the program. So the largest gains were in the skills that professionals most need when they graduate. The largest gains that they saw were in some of the intangibles, things that are, not taught in veterinary school. But one was how to build a mentorship relationship. So not just to become a mentor, but to be a collaborative mentee and learn from somebody, right? It's one thing to say, hey, we're going to give you a mentor, but if you don't know how to interact with that person and grow it, that's a big part. They also grew and saw major changes in how they talk with clients about money, and then how they communicate clearly within the exam room. All of the operational behaviors that were measured saw improvements, as well as the taking home of work dropped significantly. Mentees consistently reported in the free text field that they, quote, no longer felt alone. So huge things here. It's something that they're continuing to see more of. Communication across the board is really growing. Confidence is growing. And it seems like the time that new grads are coming from being, I know people hate the term baby doctor, but they use it all the time. But being a young DVM first in practice here and growing in your early career is a really big thing. And it sounds like ReadyVet Go has done a great job sort of unlocking some of those additional skill sets. Finally, the fresh food people are always keeping us on our toes. There's a new CEO taking over at Just Food for Dogs. Michael Myers takes over as the CEO for Just Food for Dogs, and he's succeeding Eric Kufel, who's stepping down for some health reasons, but we're hoping to see health and recovery across the board there. But Michael is not an outsider in this space. He has been running I and Love and You, which is another food brand in the space. He led Wellness Pet Company and Lily's Kitchen, and he was also previously on Just Food for Dogs board after El Cateron invested in him in 2017. Now, El Cateron has been in the game for quite a while. I was going through their portfolio. They obviously have investments in Alliance Animal Health and Sploot. They have investments in multiple Brazilian pet care companies, veterinary care companies, food companies. They own a couple consolidations of treats and different food companies. So it's kind of a lot. There's a ton that they're doing there. And to see one of the people that's been within their ecosystem stepping in and moving into the Just Food for Dogs leadership is going to be a cool thing. Just Food for Dogs has been growing their platform extensively over the years here. We've seen them come out with different product lines and different ways to bring it to the consumer. And now it seems like that distribution piece is the real last bit that they want to find out. And that's where Michael Meyer has that footprint. Now, they're not the only ones doing stuff across the space. There is another investment. Jane Lauder from Estee Lauder has launched Tao Ventures. They launched last year. They've made their first investment in a treat company, Polka Dog. So lots of stuff happening, lots of movement, lots of investment, and a lot of people trying to step up what's happening in some of these other treat and supplement and food providers across the space. And if you want to hear more about these and other stories, you can join us by subscribing to our Substack. There's a link in the bio, and don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing and rating the show. For The Bird Bath, I'm Ryan Leach. See you next week.